The skunk you just saw was in my backyard. As soon as we come back, I'm going to bring him in, and we're going to figure out how to build a cage in order to let the skunk stay in as our class pet. In order to do so, though, we're going to have to use area and perimeter to figure out the exact dimensions of the door frames that we're going to have to build in his cage. I want you to help me figure these door frames out over the next exercise so that we can work together and have the skunk as our class pet.
Okay, first we will need to figure out the area of one side of our cage to determine how much paint we will need to cover the sides. After all, we can't have an open air cage with a skunk. We may all get sprayed if that was the case. To start, we know that the length of our cage will be 4 feet tall. So let's draw our cage out. So we know our length here is 4 feet tall. And the perimeter will be 18 feet. Our first step will be determining the width of the cage. We don't know that. To do so, we need to use the formula that we did previously. We start with our perimeter formula. So P equals 2 times length plus 2 times width. Let's plug in our numbers. 18 equals 2 times 4 plus 2 times, and we don't know what that W is yet. So now we've got 18 equals, let's go ahead and solve it out, 8 plus 2 times W. Now we need to use our multiplication facts and kind of look at it and figure out which number works best for that W. So if we tried 4 for W, we would have 18 equals 8 plus 2 times 4. Well, we know 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 plus 8 is 16, so that's going to be a little too low. Let's try 5. 18 equals 8 plus 2 times 5. 18 equals 8 plus 10, which we know is correct. So that way we know that our width is 5. So we're going to go ahead and write a 5 in there. From there, now that we have our length and our width, we can then find our area. So let's find our area. Area equals length times width. So let's have our area is equal to 4 times 5. Our area is then 20 square feet. So now we know how much paint we need to paint the side of our cage. Second, we will need to determine the perimeter of our front door. We know that the width of the door will be 2 feet and the area required for our skunk to fit through the door is 6 square feet. So let's draw that out. 2 on one side and our area equals 6. Our first step is to determine the length of the door. To do so, we will need to take our formula for area, which is area equals length times width, and solve from there. So we know our numbers are area is equal to 6, and we need our length, which is L, and then we've got width, which we know is 2. By using our multiplication facts, we can see that L is probably 3. Let's check it and make sure. 6 equals 3 times 2, which we know is correct. So now we know our length is 3, so we can go ahead and write that in there. After we have our length, we can then calculate perimeter. Recall that perimeter is equal to 2 times length plus 2 times width. In our case, that means we have perimeter equals 2 times 3 plus 2 times 2, which is equal to 6 plus 4, or 10 feet. Lastly, we need to determine the perimeter of the back wall of our cage. We know that our width is 4 feet and the area of the back wall is 16 square feet. Our first step is to find the length of our back wall. To do so, we need to use our formula again for area, which is area equals length times width. In our case, we know that 16 equals length times 4. Now, using our multiplication facts, we know that 16 equals what? 4 times 4. So now we know that our length is 4. Now that we have both our width and our length, we can get our perimeter. So our perimeter formula, again, is perimeter equals 2 times length plus 2 times width, which here equals, perimeter equals 2 times 4 plus 2 times 4. So perimeter equals 8 plus 8, or perimeter equals 16 feet. So now we have the perimeter of the back wall of our cage as well. We should be ready to start building this thing so we can keep our skunk in our classroom.